evening. This is TalkSport. This is Kickoff. I'm Natalie Sawyer, and with me it is Danny Murphy and Darren Lewis. Lots for us to get through after another eventful weekend in the Premier League. And a little bit later on, we will turn our attentions to England, who have secured their place at the World Cup, but still maybe a few places still up for grabs in Thomas Tuchel's World Cup squad. That to come, though, a little bit later on. Right now, let's cast our eye to what happened in the 5:30 kickoff, which saw Sunderland score a dramatic late equaliser as they continued their unbeaten start to life at the Stadium of Light as they drew 2-2 with Arsenal. It meant Arsenal's 8-game winning streak came to an end, and also their clean sheet record went as well after conceding 2 goals, as I've mentioned, with Brian Brobby getting a late equaliser in the 94th minute. Arsenal then, you could obviously say that it's a point gained, or is it 2 points lost? How do we see this one?
It's definitely 2 points lost. They will have looked at the fixture and felt, despite the good start for Sunderland to the season, they would have looked at it and seen it as 3 points. Definitely, a side promoted to the Premier League. Good start under Regis Lebris, good players at the club, former player leading it, driving it in Granit Xhaka, but they would have seen themselves to have the defensive nous and the quality all over the pitch to be able to go there and win. So I definitely think they look at it as 2 points dropped. Now, does that mean the sky is going to fall in? Clearly not. They've been outstanding so far this season. It was always going to be the case. I know I sat and gushing about them, and you said, Danny, sooner or later they'll concede. Just didn't think it would be against Sunderland. But I don't think that there's anything wrong with the mentality. I don't think that there are cracks beginning to show. I think it's more the law of averages starting to kick in.
Yeah, that's fair. I think it shows 2 things. One, when you play the best teams, you have to score first to give yourself a chance. Got to. Because what it does is it gives everybody something to fight for and hang on to. It refocuses and gets the fans with you, and that's really important. And the other thing, that if you defend with great discipline and in large numbers, it's hard to break through. No matter how much quality you've got. And I thought what Sunderland did particularly well is they chose the moments to try and go forward and hurt them. But generally they defended with a 5, loads of numbers in front, and kept and concentrated. And ironically, I think they'll actually be sitting there really angry with the goals they conceded, because the first one was a giveaway. The keeper's played a straight ball into a midfield player who's taken too many touches and got robbed by Declan Rice, who's brilliant at that anyway. Why is he... You're 1-0 up. Why is he doing that?
Absolutely.
And the second one was where he's got Trossard. He's fine. He's going nowhere. Show him on his left. He tries to read the one where he does the little shimmy and lets him in on his right. And it's a hell of a goal, to be fair. So they'll actually be looking at it going, we've helped them. It wasn't even like Arsenal opened them up that often. So I think it shows you, or shows a lot of teams in the Prem, that if you play Arsenal and you are disciplined and you are pragmatic, you can nullify them.
Can I just ask, so say you were playing now, would you look at that, and certainly as a senior player, for example, go into your dressing room and say, they've done that, that's how we should be approaching the next game?
Well, my success at Fulham came from that, in that we were very realistic about who we were and how good we were, or weren't. So we got a lot of good results against teams better than us, because we gave them respect. You have to, or Bournemouth are the exception to this rule. They tend to give nobody respect and go after them. Hence the fact the City game, they had plenty of chances themselves, but got done the other way. A bit like they did against Villa, to be fair. They went after Villa and Villa done them. But yeah, at Fulham we had a similar mentality of close the spaces, condense, frustrate. And I remember at times, I remember my old mate Jamie Carragher said we got a 0-0 at Anfield once. I don't even know if we had a shot. And we'd been playing Europe in the week, to be fair. So we'd gone there and just defended. And he said to me, he come off and he was fuming, and he was saying to me after, that's not football, you can't play like that. And I was laughing my head off. I was like, what do you want us to do? And Sunderland did it really well. And of course, that goal from Ballard, which came from nothing really, it was a hell of a goal, wasn't it? I think it was a long free kick, was it?
That's right, yeah. And
I think he won, or he challenged the first one, then it dropped to him, and all of a sudden Arsenal then that you can't be patient anymore because you're 1-0 down. And the intensity went up for us in the second half. And that's where I say the first goal is important, because their quality and their persistence generally means they're going to get one. But yeah, I think we'll see teams, now Arsenal have set this bar of their level early in the season, I think we will see teams more and more compact against Arsenal and just sit in and say, come on then. Especially at home, when you play them at home. Problem is, doing it at home, it was okay for Sunderland because the fans are just on a roller coaster, so happy with what they're seeing and where they are. They were never going to whinge about them sitting in, whereas, I don't know, let's say West Ham, if they did that at home to Arsenal, I think the fans get on them more. I'm just using them as one example.
But I think the reason for that is because West Ham we're picking out West Ham, but another team that had been in the Premier League for any length of time, there would be an expectation that they would have the capability.
To have a go.
Whereas Sunderland, they've just come up. Myself included, I kind of look at them and think, well, they're going to park the bus against Arsenal, who have just got so much quality to undo them, individual quality as well as team quality. And yet, as you say, there were times when they came out to play.
And I tell you what, just mentioning Ballard, because I think he does deserve a mention. I think he's one of the few that's still in the side from last season.
He's ex-Arsenal as well.
Yeah, but he shows you that even Gabriel can be out-muscled and out-jumped. There's not many Ballards, by the way, in the Prem, but if you fight fire with fire sometimes, he was causing them all sorts of problems.
I'm a big fan, and thanks for raising Ballard, because I'm a big fan of the players who were with any club in the lower leagues and know how hungry and how much it matters to a football team to win, not just against the biggest teams, but against the smaller teams, but just to win at the highest level. I'm a really, really big fan of that.
Well, let's hear from Arsenal boss Mikel Arteta then, who admitted he wasn't surprised by the performance of Sunderland.
We knew it was going to be a really tough place to come. It was very disruptive, especially in the first half. We had to play that kind of game, and credit to them, the manner they set up and the kind of game that they want to throw you into. We conceded the goal in a manner that we are all, I think, very disappointed, but we reacted really, really well. Scoring the goal, being very, very dominant, scoring the second goal, and then, you have to hang in there in the last few minutes. You know everything is going to be direct, long balls, long throw-ins, direct deep free kicks, and you have to deal with the people in the box. We haven't done it in the best way, and one of the reasons is because they've done it really, really well as well. When they win the first ball, the way the striker puts his leg in front of David, and then we have a massive chance to win it again with Ricky and Merino. And these are the details and the margins to win or draw in this league. So it gives me a lot of perspective what the team has done in the last few weeks, winning 10 in a row and not conceding goals, and 7 attacking players out and fit, and time to reset and go again.
One of the interesting stats from Sunderland as well is that no side has scored more goals in the 90th minute onwards than them. 5 goals they've scored, which just goes to show they're not a team that's going to settle, or they're not a team that's just going to think, we've lost this one. They're going to battle to the end.
That says mentality. Because if anything's going to keep them up, there'll be a number of things that keep them up. Defensive strength and consistency, hard work, but mentality as well. There'll be a lot of teams that would give up the ghost against a superior side of superior quality and not believe that they can get anything out of that match. But, I mentioned Union Berlin, for example, earlier in the show. They go up against a juggernaut of a Bayern Munich side and they believe they can do it. They believe they can get something out of the game, and they do. And I think Sunderland are very, very similar. That's a club where the attitude reflects the leadership. Lebris has got them galvanised when he took over. Very similar thing. Who is this guy? Where's he come from? But clearly they've done their homework and realised that he'd be a good fit, and he's got them up, and now he's got them consistent.
And something we were talking about in the break previously about experience.
Yeah.
Obviously having someone like a Granit Xhaka in there is so important. Like you mentioned with my team, Brentford, Jordan Henderson, when you've got a young team, essentially, it's always good to have wise heads in there.
Listen, I got to defer to Dan because he always tells me about Gary Mack when he was at the Liverpool with a young team around him, but you got that experience in the middle of the park. I mentioned in the break when John Terry came through at Chelsea, and he had Desai and Leboeuf and a lot of senior players in that particular side. look at the current Chelsea side now. They don't have any of that kind of leadership, but Brentford do, Sunderland do. That is a key reason why they are able to basically go into matches believing that they're going to get something, anything, right the way up until the final whistle.
And also what's quite impressive about Regis Labrie, like you mentioned there, around the hour mark, he took off all three of his sort of forward players. I mean, that's brave to do that, all three coming off at virtually the same time.
It was brave, but also sensible in that they'd run themselves into the ground, so he knew he needed energy. And that's also, as well, credit to the hierarchy of Sunderland for giving him backing, because they spent a few quid.
£154 million in the summer.
And so you'd expect to have some return on that. They will be tested when AFCON comes along.
Yes.
They've got quite a few players going away to that, so that'll test them. But he can't do any wrong at the minute. I mean, to get 4 points out of Chelsea and Arsenal is just incredible. and just quickly back to Xhaka, I think it's credit to his professionalism and mentality that he can go and be a big club player, winning a league in Germany, being in his last season as Arsenal, he was outstanding, playing in his normal position. He's taken on a hell of a challenge that many wouldn't, of his ilk, of his stature. When I think about myself, thinking, would I take that challenge on when the options he must have had?
Well, Bayer Leverkusen didn't want to let him go. I mean, Eric Ten Hag was at that time adamant they weren't going to sell him.
Well, that's my point.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. He'll get weighed in, and probably more than he was earning. But the reality.
I was thinking about you saying Ten Hag didn't want to let him go, and the hierarchy must want he's going anyway.
Well, I mean, I don't know what the fee was. I can't remember. So because he's his age, they're probably good money for his age. The reality is he's paying them back in spades, isn't he? Because the experience is one thing on the pitch. Off it's even more important, but it's quality. Yeah. So his football IQ, keep the ball, then we'll go forward. And he's scoring the odd goal. He's setting up the odd goal. He looks like somebody who's completely comfortable and at ease with who he is, what he's good at, what he's not. Just plays like a leader.
I saw one or two of the players saying that they're more worried, I should say, as upsetting Xhaka by allowing their standards to slip as the manager. And that says so much.
He signed for an initial 13 million.
And there'll be more if they stay up, I would imagine.
Yeah.
See, what I like about that, and I know we've got to go to bed, so I'll be very brief. Henderson, for example, we mentioned him, but it would have been a similar thing for him. Do I go to a Brentford side who are likely to lose their best players, or do I take the challenge knowing that I can influence the players, the young, exciting players? And I think the club would have sold that to him as well. We want you to be that leader in this young, exciting team who need patience, direction, guidance, and leadership. And that's what both those players have provided.
Indeed. Right. We are going to turn our attentions to another North London team, this time Tottenham, who thought they'd won it against Manchester United, but the visitors to North London had different ideas as that one finished in a draw. We'll look back on that 2-2, 12:30 kickoff in just a minute. Here on Kickoff on TalkSport with Ladbrokes, ATN over Gambler Dole.
Right, what a weekend it was for Manchester City as they dispatched Liverpool, and league leaders Arsenal slipped up a little too.
Does he deserve this? Jeremy Doku has just made it Manchester City 3, Liverpool 0, head and shoulders the best player on the pitch at the Etihad. What a way for Pep Guardiola to bring up 1,000 games as a manager. His side have sent out a real statement to the league leaders Arsenal.
A long week to defeat in Aston Villa. We make incredible 4 games, all 4. Everyone was involved. And we play really good.
We don't really know if this is the real deal with this City team, do we? I mean, what we've had is a changing of the guard, Man City.
Well, City just look to have a real spring in their step. It's like a few of them got points to prove. Haaland's all-round performance is ridiculously good.
I think how Arsenal respond to that is going to be interesting. If it's the same old Arteta Arsenal, then they'll keep dropping points and they'll crumble and they won't win the league.
Them lockdown styles better be trembling, mate. We're coming for them. We've got to play them at the Etihad. We're having them.
Jeremy Doku absolutely out of
Brilliant
this
was.
world for
Brilliant.
Manchester City.
What a performance.
They're 4 points adrift of Arsenal now. Arsenal, of course, having been held to that 2-2 draw. Sunderland at the weekend. Right, to tell us if Arsenal fans are worried at all, broadcaster and Arsenal fan Joel Bayer has joined us here in the studio. Morning, Joel.
Good morning, Joel. How are you, mate?
Morning to you both. I came in here with a statement.
Did you?
To let you know that we are not afraid.
No, but did you enjoy that Man City performance?
No, I didn't. It was frightening. But at the same time, I had to find ways to consolidate myself and think about the fact that it's a long season. It's November. I know what the opposition fans want to hear, but we've been here before. Yeah. We know this is what City do. Yeah. But this time, we've got the experience. That's the difference.
I looked at the game, right, and there was a couple of things. Jeff and I were speaking. Liverpool didn't look at it. Clearly, they didn't look at it. But I watched City on the Wednesday, Joe, against Dortmund. Yeah. And I thought, begin and end.
Getting better.
Yeah, but that performance at the weekend. But the flip side of the coin, everybody's looking at Arsenal saying lost 2 goals at Sunderland. This is the same Sunderland that have started the season exceptionally well.
Yes.
Won at Stamford Bridge.
Mm-hmm.
That isn't a bad result for Arsenal.
Not at all. To go out there, they haven't lost at home so far this season. So to go out there and play against a team who's inspired by Granit Xhaka, and you always know it was going to be emotional, their fans are exceptional. Incredible. And honestly, I left that game and I've had the chance, obviously, to get insight from Rio, and he would say that when he's playing those games back in the day and you got Roy Keane there, sometimes they'll leave a game and they'll go, that's a good point gained. Yeah. Instead of feeling like you lost the game. Right now, this season, you could easily go up to the stadium and lose.
Easy. You know? But it was the circumstances, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was the fact you turned around. I thought Arsenal's second half played really well.
Yeah.
I thought Zubimendi was fantastic on the day. But it's the circumstance. You're 2-1 up with a few minutes to go. And then Mikel Arteta made a change and he's brought an extra defender onto the field in Mascara, which can look great when it works, but when it doesn't work, leaves people pointing the finger.
Yeah, you can't really blame him because, at that time, we thought we were going to win the game, so... I think it's the right thing to do. You pull it off.
But it said to Sunderland, didn't it? It said every Sunderland player out there, okay, Arsenal, we're just intent on holding what we've got right now.
Yeah.
And you could see it gave them motivation.
Yeah, but you can't blame them. At the same time, again, Mikel's probably thinking the same thing. It's the beginning of November. You've gone to one of the hardest grounds in the league in the Premier League season so far. Yeah. All you got to do is go there, collect your point, go home and be happy. And also, who knew that Man City were going to absolutely annihilate Liverpool the next day? We thought it could be a draw, could go either way. Take your point, shut up shop, fight again another day.
Joe, tell me, looking at Arsenal right now, is this the strongest squad that they've ever had?
I think it's the strongest squad since the Invincibles. And the reason why I say that is because we cannot take away from the likes of Ashley Cole, who was absolutely world class. You can't take away from Lauren, Gilberto Silva, Patrick Vieira, Thierry Henry. You can go on, Dennis Bergkamp.
I didn't mean team.
Yeah.
I mean the 20 players, the 22 players. Because I look at Arsenal right now, and dear me, you think White's going to struggle to get back in for Timber. Left back, whether it's, they've got Calafiori, they've got 4 or 5 options everywhere. Yeah. I look at the squad and I look middle of the park, they've got options. You mentioned Zubimendi, Merino, Rice, Odergard when he's fit. I think there's 19, 20, 21 players there.
There's top players, but I think the game's changed a little bit where you need to bolster your squad like that because of the amount of games. I can't get away from the Invincibles when I look at them. Yeah, but I think just because where football is at the moment and you got all these games, you kind of have no choice. And to answer your question in short, yes, because I think, but that's the same with a lot of teams. If you look at it, the same with City, Liverpool, I look at them and I think the depth is really strong. And I just think it's because of how football is today.
I like the fact that afterwards at the stadium, no complaints from Mikel Arteta, which was great. By the way, he must have been knackered. He covers more ground in that technical area than some of the players do. Just amazing. Look, a big few weeks ahead after the international break, aren't they? We talk a 4-point gap at the moment. Yeah. Spurs at home, and Bayern Munich in the Champions League at home, and then Chelsea away. Could this be a pivotal period in the season?
Yes, because I think we're going to win all games, if I'm honest with you. Look, I'm looking at those league games. I think Tottenham's always going to be a difficult game. There's always emotions. It doesn't matter what form you're in, but we are a better team. If you take away Man City's performance against Liverpool, everybody you're speaking to says Arsenal are just a better equipped team. And it doesn't guarantee you the 3 points, but we're stronger than the opposition. Bayern Munich's going to be a tough one. I'll be really honest with you. The way they're playing and the fact that Kane is just in the form of his life, and Luis Diaz as well. But I will not be surprised if I'm sitting here in this chair and we've got maximum points from all 3 games.
What's the difference this year then? What's the difference this year to previous years?
I think it's the growth and mentality. Some people listening, TalkSport fans might go, what mentality? You still haven't won. But the hurt that we've experienced in the last 3 seasons has given us a resilience now where we've been here before. You know, some people might say, well, so have they, the other teams, but we've been here before, you know, and the way I see it, it's just another day in the office. And I really believe, stop smiling. I know you're not.
No.
Is it? I really believe that now with the squad that we have, look, Odergard hasn't been here. It's fine. We've got Eze.
Yeah.
You know, Saka, he's not even been in the best form of his, this season. It's fine. We've got Trossard in form. We've got Martinelli on form. It's fine. We've got players to cover across the board. Zubimendi, have we missed Partey? No, we haven't. So I think that's the difference as well.
Yeah, Odegaard, Gyökeres, Martinelli, Madueke, Havertz, all to come back, you know.
Exactly.
So it's going to be fantastic. Well, we hope it's going to be fantastic. Joel, thanks again.
Thanks, Megan.
Thank you. We are not afraid. Cheers.
Ben, who's a Watford fan from St. Neots, says, hi guys, I'm on my way to Norwich from St. Neots to fit CCTV in this cold, wet weather. I listen every single morning. He said, listening to Ali is such a pleasure. By far the best presenter on the radio. Brackets after Jeff.
Why did I know there was always going to be a sting in the teeth?
Regarding Rob Edwards, he's been in 2 jobs where he was talked up massively by the owners and then sacked at the first time of trouble at Watford and Luton. All he knows is lack of loyalty. Ben?
Arsenal are reportedly in advanced negotiations to secure a key figure from Napoli, a move that could significantly strengthen Mikel Arteta's long-term project and reshape the club's recruitment strategy. Currently sitting at the top of the Premier League table, Arsenal are not slowing down. According to reports, the club is working behind the scenes to reinforce not just the squad, but also its recruitment department, in a bid to maintain their competitive edge. Sources suggest that Arsenal are close to bringing in one of Serie A's most respected scouting specialists, a move that underlines their commitment to building sustainable success both on and off the pitch. The Gunners enjoyed a busy summer transfer window, bringing in 8 new signings to bolster their title push. Mikel Arteta welcomed the arrivals of Martin Zubimendi, Christian Mosquera, Victor Gyökeres, Noni Madueke, Ebereki Eze, Piero Hincapié, Christian Norgard, and Kepa Arrizabalaga, all part of a coordinated effort led by sporting director Andrea Berta, who joined the club earlier this year following his departure from Atletico Madrid. Now, with the January transfer window approaching, Arsenal appear ready to take another ambitious step. According to a report from BBC Sport, the club is holding advanced talks with Maurizio Micheli, the current head scout of Serie A champions Napoli. Micheli, 57, is said to be considering a new challenge in North London after playing a major role in Napoli's recent success. Micheli's reputation in Italy is outstanding. Over 2 separate spells with Napoli, first joining in 2010, then returning in 2018, he has been credited with discovering some of the club's most influential stars, including Kvichik Kvaratskhelia, Kim Min-jae, and Marek Hamsik. His sharp eye for talent and ability to spot emerging players before they break out have made him one of the most respected scouts in European football. If the deal goes through, it would represent a quiet but powerful statement from Arsenal, one that reinforces the club's evolution from a team rebuilding its identity to an organization setting new standards in recruitment, analysis, and player development under Arteta's leadership. If Arsenal finalize the deal to bring Maurizio Micheli to North London, the move could mark a quiet turning point in the club's long-term football structure. Those within the club view this not merely as a backroom appointment, but as an investment in sustainable squad building and global scouting reach. Micheli's methods, deeply analytical and heavily reliant on both live observation and data-driven evaluation, are said to align perfectly with Arsenal's evolving recruitment philosophy under Mikel Arteta and sporting director Andrea Berta. Several Italian outlets have reported that Micheli has already begun informal conversations with Arsenal's technical team regarding potential scouting reforms and how his approach could integrate with the club's growing analytics department. One insider described his philosophy as a blend of intuition and intelligence, noting that Micheli often spots undervalued talent in smaller European leagues before their market value spikes. That talent for anticipation is something Arsenal have been missing since the early days of Arsène Wenger's reign. In Italy, the news of Michele's potential departure from Napoli has raised eyebrows. He has been one of the quiet architects behind Napoli's modern success, overseeing the recruitment that led to their Serie A title and several high-value player sales. His exit would represent a major loss for the Italian champions, whose recruitment network he helped build almost from the ground up. Some Napoli insiders reportedly fear a short-term void in their scouting structure, particularly with the club preparing for another challenging Champions League campaign. From Arsenal's perspective, however, Michele's experience could prove invaluable. His arrival would further strengthen the synergy between Arteta's tactical demands and the club's recruitment operations, ensuring that signings not only fit the team's technical requirements but also its cultural and psychological identity. Arsenal's recent focus on mental resilience and adaptability mirrors Michele's own emphasis on attitude and character when evaluating potential players. Analysts across Europe have already begun to speculate on what Michele's involvement could mean for Arsenal's transfer strategy in 2025. With the Gunners now established as title contenders again, there's an expectation that Michele's network, particularly in Italy, Eastern Europe and South America, could open doors to emerging talent markets where Arsenal have been less active in recent years. His appointment could also allow the club to identify future stars earlier, avoiding the inflated fees that come with late pursuits of proven players. In essence, Arsenal's pursuit of Maurizio Michele is not about short-term gain. It's a statement of intent, a commitment to intelligent planning, early identification of elite talent, and a belief that the smallest details behind the scenes can determine success on the pitch. If completed, this move could quietly become one of the most influential signings of Arsenal's modern era. Penalty miss, Ballard's costly error, and Brobby's high boot, breaking down the controversial moments from Sunderland versus Arsenal. Football London takes a closer look at the key refereeing decisions that shaped Arsenal's 2-2 draw with Sunderland, including a missed penalty call, a disputed Daniel Ballard goal, and the dramatic late equaliser that left the Gunners frustrated. For the first time since their draw with Manchester City, Arsenal dropped points, held to a tense stalemate at the Stadium of Light. Mikel Arteta's side faced one of their toughest and most organized opponents of the season and looked on course for victory, until Brian Brobby's stoppage time strike silenced the travelling fans. It wasn't just the result that stung. Several refereeing controversies added fuel to the frustration. After falling behind early, Arsenal saw two questionable calls go against them, both of which could have swung the game in their favor. Referee Craig Pawson once again found himself at the center of the post-match debate. Below, Football.London reviews the major incidents from the match. 1. The missed penalty on Mikel Merino. Early in the first half, a dangerous cross from Leandro Trossard caused chaos in Sunderland's box. As Mikel Merino went up to challenge for the ball against former Arsenal defender Daniel Ballard, the Sunderland player raised his left arm and caught Merino hard in the head before heading the ball away. The Spanish midfielder collapsed to the turf and required lengthy medical attention, forcing multiple stoppages in play. Analysis. If that type of contact had happened anywhere outside the box, it would almost certainly have been called a foul. Ballard made clear, forceful contact with Merino's face before winning the header. Similar incidents, like Victor Gyökeres's denied penalty against Newcastle when Nick Pope touched the ball first, have been ruled inconsistently. In this case, the contact was obvious, and if the referee didn't see it, VAR should have intervened for a clear and obvious error. Verdict: incorrect decision. Penalty should have been awarded to Arsenal. 2. Zubimendi's yellow card and the questionable free kick. In a moment of irony, this play began with what looked like a missed foul at the other end. Granit Xhaka appeared to clip Ebereki Eze from behind on the edge of Sunderland's box without playing the ball. Seconds later, Sunderland broke forward, and as Martin Zubimendi stretched to intercept, the referee blew for a foul and booked him for stopping a counterattack. Sunderland scored from the ensuing free kick, a sequence that changed the game's rhythm entirely. Analysis. Replays showed Zubimendi clearly got a firm touch on the ball before any contact with the attacker. If a foul had been called, a yellow card would have been fair under the stopping a promising attack rule, but in this case, it was simply the wrong call. The official also appeared to miss the earlier foul by Xhaka on Eze, another moment that influenced the play's development. Verdict: incorrect decision. No foul should have been given. 3. Brobby's high boot and the late equalizer. Just when Arsenal looked set to secure all 3 points, the Gunners were undone in stoppage time. In the 94th minute, Brian Brobby found the net after a chaotic sequence inside the box, drawing Sunderland level and sending the home crowd into celebration. Brobby appeared to lift his foot dangerously high during the challenge with Gabriel, who went down holding his face immediately after the goal. Despite brief appeals, the referee allowed play to continue, and VAR confirmed the goal. Analysis. On review, there was some mutual contact. Gabriel tugged Brobby's shirt noticeably in the build-up, while goalkeeper David Raya misjudged the flight of the ball and failed to clear it effectively. Though Brobby's leg was high, the challenge didn't appear reckless enough to warrant a foul, and Arsenal's defensive errors did most of the damage. Verdict: goal stands. Not enough evidence for a foul. Final takeaway. Arsenal will feel hard done by, with at least 2 critical calls going against them in a tightly contested match. For Mikel Arteta's team, it was a reminder that fine margins and officiating inconsistencies can change the course of a game, and perhaps over a long season, even the trajectory of a title challenge. For Sunderland, it was a night of grit and resilience, and for Craig Pawson, another performance under the microscope. In the aftermath of the 2-2 draw, the debate over Craig Pawson's performance and the use of VAR dominated both media coverage and post-match interviews. Arsenal's frustration was palpable, not only because of the lost points but because the team felt they had done enough to win, only to be undone by what they saw as inconsistent officiating. Mikel Arteta, who has been vocal in the past about refereeing standards, remained measured in his comments but couldn't hide his disappointment. He acknowledged his team's defensive lapses late in the game but also alluded to the small details that went against them. Those close to the manager described him as visibly frustrated in the dressing room, emphasizing that such decisions can change the momentum of an entire season. Behind the scenes, Arsenal staff reviewed the match footage extensively, pointing to specific incidents that they believe should have been handled differently by both the referee and the VAR officials. Club sources indicated that the Gunners plan to raise the matter formally with the Premier League's refereeing body, PGMOL, not in protest of the result but to seek clarity and consistency in future decisions. Analysts and pundits were quick to weigh in as well. Former players on post-match broadcasts noted that the lack of VAR intervention in the Merino incident was difficult to justify, given how clearly the Sunderland defender's arm made contact. Others pointed out that Zubamendi's yellow card, which led to the free kick and subsequent goal, was a turning point that unfairly tilted the game's balance. Meanwhile, Sunderland's perspective was understandably different. Manager Tony Mowbray praised his team's resilience and fighting spirit, highlighting how they continued to push until the final whistle. "We showed character," he said. "We went toe-to-toe with one of the best teams in the league and earned it." The draw, however, sparked wider discussion across English football about officiating consistency, especially in matches involving top sides. Former referees appeared on sports networks to analyze Pawson's decisions frame by frame, with most agreeing that while none of the calls were egregious, the cumulative effect painted a troubling picture of indecision and inconsistency. For Arsenal, the result meant more than just 2 dropped points. It was a psychological blow in a title race where every margin counts. The late goal from Brobby not only denied them victory, but also exposed defensive vulnerabilities that Arteta will be eager to address ahead of their upcoming fixtures. In the broader context, the match served as another reminder of how officiating remains one of the Premier League's most polarizing topics. Whether it's a missed penalty, an overlooked foul, or a subjective interpretation of clear and obvious error, moments like these continue to influence outcomes at the highest level. As the league moves deeper into the season, both Arsenal and the officials involved will feel the weight of this result. One as a setback in their campaign for consistency in silverware, the other as a fresh entry in an ongoing debate about accountability in modern refereeing.